right, so we're working in the studio here, and we're actually doing leaf forms, and we're going to do some fall colors to make it interesting. And welcome everyone, and thank you for working along with me here. And we're all working together. We're getting better at our watercolors, that's for sure. Working all the time, putting in as much time as possible. We all have busy lives and hectic schedules, and but we always have time to get some really fun compositions going. So here what I did is, while I was off camera, right before we started the video, I just decided to draw this leaf form right here first in my normal fashion of doing a contour drawing. And then what I'll do now is I'll just go over this with a little bit of a darker pencil line so you can kind of see more detail on the pencil drawing portion here, because it's a little bit light. I don't tend to draw tremendously dark a lot of times. And I also would say it's also good if you can. Some of these leaf forms sometimes have, do you notice sometimes they have very fine like edges where things are sort of jagged on the edges of certain leaf forms, or they have very slight but kind of curvy portions of the leaf and things that are like not quite smooth. So this is where, if we wanted to, we could kind of draw the basic outline of each of the leaves on this leaf form here. Then now when we go back to do our darker sketch, this is a good time where we can do a little more details on the edges to get the edges maybe a little more true to life of what we're seeing here. And it's a lot easier maybe going over with a second pencil line just to get a little more detail if you find you would like to do that to get it more accurate. And it can help, because if you get that basic shape first, the shapes of these three leaves here, and basically you get it in somewhat the same really close fashion as you see here, that's good. And then again we can go in and do more detail now, which is not absolutely necessary, but if you do like to do more detail, we can do it in this way, where we just go back in now and we can go back in and I'll do a darker line. And then I notice as I'm here, I can just trace right over what I've already done. And I just maybe get some of those, a little bit of those curves and things there. Like that. And then there's some more curves up here too. So I'm going to try to get those. There's one there. And then it bumps out a little bit there. Like that. So that seems beneficial to do that. And then here we'll go over here. So I'm kind of getting a little more accurate information going around the outsides of the leaves, I should say. Here we're going around this way. I can see there's a little bit of and I think that looks good. This way, now when we do our brush work, we have a little more information we can work with, getting that a little more accurate to what we're seeing here. So now we can get some colors. I'm going to try and make this a little more fall colors. So I'm going to use the green, but I'm going to add in a little bit of some warmer colors, green. I'll add in some warmer colors like maybe burnt sienna, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Maybe we'll mix up some interesting colors here. Let's start out with maybe the green, sap green right in the center here. So we'll have some sap green, and then we'll do some raw umber, some burnt umber. Maybe we can do some burnt sienna too, and then some alizarin crimson. And I think that's kind of a nice fall color mix in there. Let's see how that works. Let's go in. We'll do our first part here. And I'll use the brush this way so I can get the point just like that. Pick up some more paint. And we only have a little bit of time here to sort of mix in some more of these fall colors. Because once that wash starts to dry, it'll start to have funny looking marks if we try to go in and add too much water or paint. I think the kind of like the basics of it is once we get that first wash on the paper, we can go in, but you can kind of see this is very, very mostly just paint in my palette here. You don't see a lot of puddles of water. So I'm using, a paint consistency that's not too much water for these leaf forms here anyway. Sometimes we'll use a lot of water in the palette. You'll see big puddles of water and paint mixes. But here you can kind of see I'm not using a lot of water. So we'll just keep working here. I'll rinse off my brush again. I tend to have either a sponge or a paper towel or a tissue here just to take some water off the brush. And that's kind of how I can keep managing my water to paint ratio mixture kind of good and on track with what I need. So once I rinse off my brush, I automatically will take a little bit of water off on a sponge or, again, tissue or paper towel, whatever. Maybe my apron too. Sometimes I'll use that. And then it just makes mixing these colors a lot easier. Maybe we'll add a little bit of yellow ochre too, maybe over here. Okay, so then now I'll just carefully take my brush and keep an eye on the brush hairs as I go around. I don't want to go too far over. And I just work the wash carefully. And I can do a bit of those curves around the leaf for them. Now I can go back in. I can rinse my brush, take off some water off the brush, and then I can go in and get some more green if I want. But I have to go in now and do it quick, and then I can get some more fall colors too. Mix those in, maybe a little more red there. This is dry up here. And I'll just go right over to the next leaf form over here. Then I'll pick up some of those warmer colors. Some reds, some browns, some umbers. Mix that in with the green. And maybe I'll do some of the stem here. Maybe I'll pick up a little bit of water, do a little bit of splashing. For the splashing, I'll need to add a little more water. And I think that looks pretty good. Again, we're practicing our brush strokes, our drawing skills here. And that's usually when you get some unpleasant marks on our paintings, when we go back in and start going back into a wash we've already completed while the paper is damp and wet. So once you get that first initial wash on, whatever you're painting, could be, you know, what we're doing here, leaf forms, flowers, any subject matter, could be a seascape, a landscape, anything like that. Once you have that first wash on, it's always best to let that dry 100%, and then you can go back in if you wanted to and add some other colors to it over the top, doing like an overwash or a second glazing. But it always tends to make unpleasant looking marks if we go back in and start adding more washes to a wash that's already still damp or wet or drying. It needs to be fully dry before you want to go in and add anything on top of it. The only time you can add in some more colors and paint is if it's just when you're putting the wash on. So you'll notice I probably do that a lot. Do you notice that? When I'm painting, a lot of times, if I'm going to add additional colors, I'll try to do it right away. So whatever I'm trying to accomplish on my first part of the painting, when I'm first doing, let's say, these leaf forms here for the first portion of this, we can always go over again with another wash of colors or something, you know, if you wanted to. But I'll always try to get all my colors in. So I'll go in with that green first, and then right when I'm working, let's say in this one leaf here, I go in with maybe some of the green wash first, and then right away I grab some reds and browns and earth colors and get them in right away as I'm doing it, and then we let it dry completely. So I wouldn't put the green on and then wait a minute or two and then go back in and get some more colors and go to put it back in again, because at that point it's already starting to dry, and adding anything else into it is going to cause some, you know, unpleasant looking, they call them blossoms or blooms, cauliflowers. So to avoid all that, we just remember when we get our wash on, we let it dry, and then we'll go back in if we want to add subsequent colors or glazings or washes over the top. And a lot of artists work that way too. A lot of artists, you'll see, they work light to dark, so they'll do all the really super light washes first, and they put the light washes on first and let them dry, and then they start going over with other darker washes over the top. And that's a really good technique too. That's the glazing technique, and that's what we're kind of doing, just the alla prima. Basically, we're just going in here and getting these leaf forms done in one go, one session here, and that's it. We're just going to let it be as it is. If we wanted to, we could maybe add some color to this. If we wanted to, we can maybe make a few. But once it dries 100%, it's still not dry 100%, so that's why I would let this go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the paper up a little bit so that we can see we're going to do one more leaf form at the bottom here. Or maybe we'll just change out and do some new paper here. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to add another new sheet of paper here, and then we'll get started, and we'll do another leaf form. So we'll shrink this down, and we'll find another one. This one looks really good. Let's do this one next here. That one looks good. And again, we're practicing our techniques of painting leaf forms, and it really can get you a lot of good practice on your brushwork and doing washes and so forth. So let's start back again in just a second. All right, so we're going to reset things up here. Get some new paper. I'm just using some magic tape just to hold the paper down from moving. Okay, and then we're going to, we'll start on this leaf form here. And again, I'm going to try to actually just maybe get the light outline of things. And I'm just kind of looking how that sort of and I can tell right away this is a little bit closer to this bottom of this leaf here. I think I got a little bit, for some reason, that's a little better. And then this one here, the stem comes down like so. This one here is quite a bit smaller, and it goes like that. And this stem is a little bit so I'll do the veins here. I'll just put them in as I go. And then I will, this stem comes up like so. And this leaf form is, this leaf comes out pretty far, like so. Like that. And you can get as detailed as you like. You can find all of these type of leaf forms online, doing internet searches and seeing the very, very, really fine details of all these type of leaf forms. So you do as much or as little as you would like. I tend to paint things. Maybe sometimes my style is more, I don't always get super, I don't do really highly, let's say, accurate or information, or I don't put in all of the information many times when I'm painting. I like to catch the main idea of everything as close to reality as possible, realistically, but I don't maybe, let's say, go really far into the absolute minor details of things usually when I'm painting. So with these leaf forms, I try to get things pretty good, pretty close to accurate, but I don't always spend hours and hours trying to get everything exact. But everyone's different. You're the artist. You'll decide how much or how little detail you like to put into your own paintings and drawings. Each artist, everyone's different. You're all different. Okay, so we have some veins for our leaves, our petals, and I think that looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to paint in just a second. Let's take a quick break, and I'll start painting in just a second. All right, so I just changed out my water. I have fresh, clean water in my water bucket. Do you find that helps? I always tend to say, like, try to change your water quite a bit in your water pails. Do you find that helps with your freshness of your paintings and the washes that you put on your paper? I think it probably does. I know when I first started, I didn't change the water bucket all that much, and then a lot of times some of the washes would look a little bit kind of duller. Then maybe I could get a little better washes when I noticed I was, cleaning the palette up once I was done with maybe a section of the painting. So that always tends to help if you want to keep your colors more true to the colors that are in your palette when you're going to your paper. And I also, too, I like to spritz the paint once in a while. Like as I'm painting here, I notice it gets a little dry, the paint. So I do that. What I'll do here, too, is I'm going to I'll go up a size in brushes here. So this is an 8 that we were using on the other painting. And then what I'm doing is I'd like to go to, like, this is, I think, a 10. Yeah, this is a 10. So that's, you can see it's a little bit larger. So let's try this because this is a little larger of a pencil drawing here. So we kind of up the size of our drawing just a little bit. So we'll try a larger brush and see how that works out. And then maybe I'll try to replicate what I'm seeing here in the picture. I'll try to use some raw umber, some yellow ochre. I'm seeing yellow ochre. I'm also seeing maybe some olive green, sap green, olive green. Maybe even a little touch of viridian in there. A little bit of a cooler green. I see a little bit of that viridian in there. And that might be good. So maybe I have to mix up a little more yellow ochre, raw umber. I'll rinse the brush, and then I'll dry off some of the water on the brush so I don't get too much water in my palette. Raw umber too here. Green, sap green, olive green. And then some viridian green over here. And then I'll again rinse the brush, dry off the brush, just so I have a damp brush, and then I'll start maybe we'll go right in and start getting in the this looks to me like it's a little bit of a lighter wash. It's not as maybe dark as we were doing before. And if you go outside of the lines a little bit, you can blot up with a tissue if you have, or a paper towel. And it's really kind of, it's not too much of a worry so much. That looks pretty good. Maybe again, we can go over with another wash if we wanted to, a little darker wash, maybe a little darker green. But I think right now we're kind of in good. So I tend to press my brush hairs down pretty much a lot, quite a bit on the paper to get all the colors and water and the color onto the leaf. And then again, I'll go in, rinse the brush off, dry off a little bit of the water on a tissue, and I'll pick up some more. And if I have to mix up a little bit of paint, I'll do that now. That's a good point on this brush. So and we still have time to smooth out that wash a little bit if you don't like to see those little bit of additional bits of color, maybe like spots of color, then you can just smooth those out. I don't mind that too much. It kind of adds to the variety of it, but you paint it the way you like to paint it. And then as we're painting, now of course on this section right here, since we just painted that, you can almost add in a little bit of darks, additional. I always say just try to be careful when you add in some extra paint when you're painting. Kind of see how it goes. Try a little spot first, a tiny spot first, and if it doesn't look like it's a problem, then you can actually add in a little more paint and water, like another wash, or add to the washes you're putting in, like I'm doing here. Like that. And then here, do the stem like that. And then I'll rinse my brush off again, dry off the brush so it's just damp. I could smooth out a few of those washes there. And again, you can do some of the veins. Maybe just a suggestion of a few here and there. And you can see them with the pencil lines too, so. Then I add some water with my brush, like this, and I'll do a couple splashes like that. All right, I hope we had fun here. Just getting into the studio sometimes, getting a little bit of paint, do a couple quick drawings, leaf forms. They're just wonderful. Kind of goes quick. You can see how we kind of move quickly through this. So maybe a half an hour at most we were working on this. Even if you do one leaf form and call it a day, if you're really rushed, if you have to do other things and you're busy, we're all busy constantly. We live busy lives these days, so never feel like you have to sit down and paint for hours. If you can get in 10 or 15 minutes here and there and just do a few of these type of exercises once in a while, that'll just be additional work you might do, practice you might do, besides maybe the paintings that you like to do when we're watching our videos here on my channel. I know some of you like flowers more than others. Some of you like seascapes and boats more than others. Some of you like landscapes and architecture, and some of you like figure painting too and portrait paintings. So I try to mix it up and do a lot of different things, so this way everyone, you can all kind of have your favorite things you like to work on. But I always say, hey, try everything. Always try to paint everything you can, even if you don't like it or it seems like it gives you some hassles when you're trying to get in some of the details of certain things, like, that if the subject matter gives you a little bit of a challenge, just go for it. Keep working on it. And you might find that you really will enjoy something that you thought in the beginning you might not have liked so much, because some things are easier than others, to paint. So, but what I would say is always, if you're just starting out, let's say, or you're just painting a couple years, try doing what you like, but what's kind of a little easier for you. So maybe, if you like flower paintings, this would be a perfect thing to work on for your flower painting skills, because you're always going to be painting leaf forms and flower paintings and vases of flowers and bouquets and things like that. So this is like a perfect thing to practice up on, to get your brush skills good and mixing and colors. And, and then the next time when you go to do a flower painting, you're going to have so much of an easier time, because you're already practiced. You've practiced on some of your leaf forms and things like that. So I guess what I'm saying is, paint what you like to paint, but also to challenge yourself. Push yourself to just, even though you might not be so thrilled with certain subject matter, just try to paint it anyway, at least a couple times here and there. It doesn't have to be what you work on all the time, but I always say try to do as much as you can, because it's just more experience for you. That'll help you down the road as you're painting, further down the road, for the next year or two. If you're practicing everything, a little bit anyway, it'll help your skills as a watercolor artist. So, all right. Well, I hope you're going to subscribe too. I hope, because I want to see us part ways. I want to see that if you subscribe below on the right-hand side on the subscribe button, you click on that button. All it's going to do is make sure that you'll always see my new videos coming into your YouTube channel. Like if we make 1 or 2 or 3 videos in a week, you'll just see those videos. You'll be alerted on your YouTube channel that we've made a new video. So this way you can keep track of what we're doing here and, having fun. We're going to all get together again each week as we're going. And so I'm hoping you'll subscribe so you don't lose track of what we're doing here. And I hope you'll thumbs up if you like this video. I hope you leave comments as well too. Comments are great. Questions, comments, it's all welcome in the comment section. We all have a fun time, and I thank everybody that sends me warm regards and positivity in the comment section. It really gets me, excited to come back and paint more every week when I know people are out there. They're happy. You're out there. You're happy. You're learning about watercolors. Your paintings are getting better. That makes me really juiced to just keep coming back and working with us all here. I'm getting better too as I practice and work with you. We're all working together, and we're all getting better at the same time. So, all right. I'll see you on the next video, and have a good evening, a good morning, and a good day.